Namaste, I'm Mingma Tenzing Sherpa from Namche Bazaar. In September 2010, we did a service trek from the Mount Everest Foundation to set up a water project to Deboche Nunnery with Mr. Dan Majur, Mrs. Marsha McDonald and Mr. Murari Sharma. We set up 1.5 kilometers pipeline to the nunnery, and now they have a very good water supply there, and project been very successful and all the nuns are very happy. Every year thousands of foreigners pass through that monastery, visit that monastery, get blessed, but rarely someone come back to help to preserve those kind of religious and cultural side for future generation. But some people like Dan Majur and Marsha McDonald, from their first visit, they realize the importance of those religious and cultural side for future generation. So they have been helping our Deboche Nunnery for many years, for many ways to restore the water project. So me, myself, and entire our Sherpa community were very thankful to Mr. Dan Majur, Mrs. Marsha McDonald and the Everest Foundation. And we're hoping for more help in the future for those kind of religious and cultural side to be preserved for our future generation. Thank you very much.
nghe mình là ngã trong đây xí là thế thật để lên đi lo chú dịch thế sao thế để ăn rồi cúp sẽ vào chơi và bảo bảo chỉ mua đó là thế thật sao rồi cứ đàn ra chơi để thu chi xin là thằng đại một thế này đàn ra nào nó sẽ còn chung rồi đấy thế để người rồi đang cái này chú thế này chú thằng như mà là chú lấy làm nó về kinh đô để cái này là 차람 차지마 추대 타는 것에 갈래노라 담아대 추텐이 대로대 투체라 투체시래 그래서 더내 여러당 가니라 추텐이 추 타니 몰라 추 레라면 업에 근도대 가니라 차람 차지마 추대 타는 것에 갈래노라 담아대 추텐이 대로대 대 다델니 로조직에서 để ăn rồi cúp sẽ vào chơi và bảo bảo chỉ mua đó là then tasa zo kure dan da xiao de tu chi xin la tang da mu thi ni dan da na na se kang.
So he took me there, and of course the rest of the trekked right along with me, and we all fell in love with it. But one of the things that bothered us so much was that there were holes in the windows, and the roofs had leaks, and the nuns were all in prayer, and they were all wheezing and coughing, and they obviously didn't have warm clothes, and they brought us in for tea, and their stove, what there was just a bunch of oil cans that had been soldered together, and they were trying to cook a meal, and it just, we all looked at each other, and I just said, if I do anything else in my lifetime, I can't let these women suffer like that. We have to do something to help them. In the nunnery that time and saying, oh, those poor nuns, they don't have toilets, they don't have water, they don't have anything to cook on. Tusk. What you have to do is you have to go back and make changes. And that's what I felt my connection to Buddhism with. Also is that these nuns, to me, and to many people, represent compassion without constraints. There's no constraints for judgment on a political basis or a social basis. So they do represent to me pure compassion, and so that's my connection. And I had, of course, been looking. I asked people, even like Richard Greer, how do I go about finding a foundation and working with them and getting them to support this project I have? And so I threw it out to Dan, and Dan emailed me back, and he said, "Why, the Deboche Nunnery? That's a project that I'd love to do." He said, I love the nuns at Deboche. They mean a great deal. We get blessed by them before we go to Everest.
Well, we're in the Kathmandu airport, and we heard that 4 planes already made it to Lukla. It looks kind of cloudy out there, so we're not sure if we're going to go, but I really hope we do, because sitting around waiting to fly to Lukla is like watching paint dry. We're back where we started at the entry to the airport, and the weather was really bad in Lukla, apparently, so we're going to go back to the hotel and come back here tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have some better weather tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Well, we're in the Kathmandu airport and watching paint dry. We reached Lukla after 4 days, 5 days. I can't remember, but it's really good to be here.
We're going to Namche. Very early morning, not morning, just very early morning. And it's about a 6-hour walking. So see what happens tomorrow. If it's not rain, then it's good.
We asked them 3 or 4 years ago what they needed up there at their convent, and they said, well, it's really difficult in the winter because there's not a good supply of water there. So they have to walk really far in the wintertime to get water. So we thought, oh, well, maybe we could figure out a project to bring water to the convent, as we noticed that most of the other buildings around there, the other lodges and the big monastery on top of the hill had water lines, so it seemed like it was something we could do.
Definitely it is a little difficult, but we have all the good staff and the good people, so we made it, and it took around 8-9 days to reach the stop to the Deboche, and all the porter carried the whole pipe from Kathmandu to the Deboche, and that is, very good. So that is why, just because of all the staff and the Sherpa porter, they have blood.
그래서 내 여러당 가네라 추테니 추 타니 몰라 추 레라모노베 근도데 가네라 차람 차스마 추데 타랑 버세 갈레노라 타마데 추테니 데로데 투체라 투체시래.
One of the best things that's happened in our time, because technical things have developed in communication that allow us to speak just like we're speaking now. And I remember my mother, when I launched this crazy idea of mine to help the nuns and Deboche, and she said, Marcia, why do you want to do something on the other side of the world when there are people suffering right here in this country or in Europe or something like that? And I said, well, that's the thing, Mother. I said, suffering, and this again is a Buddhist point of view, is global. Every country in the world has situations. And I said, these people to me represent a purity of compassion and loving kindness without constraints. And if suffering is global, then we must, the people that are more fortunate, step forward and help eradicate this suffering. And we talked about it for a long while, and my mother became one of the biggest financial supporters of the nunnery. And my thought is, what a wonderful way to teach the youth of this world that suffering is global, and that there are people in other parts of the world that desperately need help. And you look what Greg Mortison's done. And of course he and Dan know each other, and it's been I had met him also and spoken with him, and he just said, keep doing what you're doing, and that to me says something. If we can teach the young people in this world to, whether it's gathering pennies for schools in Pakistan, or helping nuns in a different religion, in a different culture, on the other side of the world, to here at Deboche and at Pembrokeshire, are the purest form of Buddhism and the Tibetan culture. There are no constraints here. The Tibetans who come there can live in peace in their own religion and in their own culture. And so it's a preservation of culture as well as a preservation of spirituality.